President Clinton and by myself. And promoting civil society that can surface issues and push leadership is not just in keeping with our values, it's not charity. It's in our national interests. Countries that respect human rights, including freedom of association, happen to be our closest partners. That is not an accident. Conversely, when these rights are suppressed, it fuels grievances and a sense of injustice that over time can fuel instability or extremism. So I believe America's support for civil society is a matter of national security. It is precisely because citizens and civil society can be so powerful. Their ability to harness technology and connect and mobilize at this moment so unprecedented that more and more governments are doing everything in their power to silence them. From Russia to China to Venezuela, you are seeing relentless crackdowns vilifying legitimate dissent as subversive. In places like Azerbaijan, laws make it incredibly difficult for NGOs even to operate. From Hungary to Egypt, endless regulations and overt intimidation increasingly target civil society. And around the world, brave men and women who dare raise their voices are harassed and attacked and even killed. So today we honor those who have given their lives. Among them in Cameroon, Eric Lemembe. In Libya, Salwa Bugeges. In Cambodia, Chit Buti. In Russia, Natalia Yestemiryova. We stand in solidarity with those who are detained at this very moment. In Venezuela, Leopoldo Lopez. In Burundi, Pierre Claver MBONIMPA. In Egypt, Ahmed Maher. In China, Liu Xiaobo. And now, Ilham Tohti. In Vietnam, Father Lee. And so many others. They deserve to be free. They ought to be released. And this growing crackdown on civil society is a campaign to undermine the very idea of democracy. And what's needed is an even stronger campaign to defend democracy. Since I took office, the United States has continued to lead the way, and as Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton helped champion our efforts. Across the globe, no country does more to strengthen civil society than America. And 1 year ago, here in New York, I pledged that the United States would do even more. And I challenged the world to join us in this cause. Working with many of you, that's what we've done. And today I'm proud to announce a series of new steps. First, partnering and protecting civil society groups around the world is now a mission across the U.S. government. So under a new presidential memorandum that I'm issuing today, federal departments and agencies will consult and partner more regularly with civil society groups. They will oppose attempts by foreign governments to dictate the nature of our assistance to civil society. And they will oppose efforts by foreign governments and they'll oppose efforts by foreign governments to restrict freedoms of peaceful assembly and association and expression. So this is not just a matter of the State Department or USAID, it's across the government. This is part of American leadership. Second, we're creating new innovation centers to empower civil society groups around the world. I want to thank our partners in this effort, including the government of Sweden and the Aga Khan Development Network. Starting next year, civil society groups will be able to use these centers to network and access knowledge and technology and funding that they need to put their ideas into action. And we'll start with 6 centers in Latin America, in Sub-Saharan Africa, in the Middle East, and in Asia. Oppressive governments are sharing worst practices to weaken civil society. We're going to help you share the best practices to stay strong and vibrant. Number 3, we're expanding our support and funding for the community of democracies to better coordinate the diplomacy and pressure that we bring to bear. And this means more support for those who are fighting against the laws that restrict civil society. In recent years, we've worked together to prevent new limits on civil society, from Kenya to Cambodia, and we've helped expand the space for civil society in countries from Honduras to Tunisia to Burma. And standing together, we can do even more. And finally, we're increasing our support to society groups across the board. We're going to increase our emergency assistance to embattled NGOs. We'll do more to match groups with the donors and funding that they need. And in the coming months, our Treasury Department will finalize regulations so it's even easier and less costly for your foundations to make grants overseas. We'll increase our legal assistance and technical support to those pushing back against onerous laws and regulations. And through our open government partnership, we'll help more governments truly partner with civil society. We'll continue to stand up for a free and open internet so individuals can access information and make up their own minds about the issues that their countries confront. And through our programs to engage young leaders around the world, we're helping to build the next generation of civil society leaders. And our message to those young people is simple. America stands with you. We stand with educators like Walid Ali of Kenya. Where's Walid? I just had a chance to meet him. There he is. Habari. Hey. In his village near the border of Somalia, young people without jobs are tempted by drugs. They're recruited by terrorists. So Walid offers them counseling and business classes and small plots of farmland, helping them rebuild their own lives and their communities and giving them options for the future. He strives, he says, not just for the idea of democracy, but to cement the practice of democracy. So we thank you, Walid, for your extraordinary efforts, and we stand with you. We stand with humanitarians like Miriam Canales. Where's Miriam? There she is right there. You know, in communities that are racked at times by horrific violence, children are so terrified to walk the streets that many begin that dangerous and often deadly march north. And Miriam's outreach centers give them a safe place to play and grow and learn. And she says her dream is that people in Honduras can walk free and that young people will have opportunities in their own country. And we couldn't be prouder of you, Miriam, and we stand with you. We stand with activists like Sophie Jack of Cambodia. There she is, Sophie. Sophie saw a fellow human rights advocate hauled off by the police, and she could have fled too, but she says she never thought of leaving Cambodia even for a minute. So she keeps organizing and marching and mobilizing youth to demand justice. And she says, I dream that Cambodian citizens can enjoy the freedoms that they're entitled to. We could not be prouder of you, and we stand with you. And we stand with advocates like John Gad of Egypt. Where's John? Like all Egyptians, John has lived through the turmoil of recent years. As an artist, he uses his poetry and performances to help people discover the power inside them, which is as good a description of being an organizer as anything, and being a leader. And he's been working to help women and girls recover from violence and sexual assault. He's focused, he says, on how to teach Egyptians to accept each other, and he has said that we have rights that we can achieve in a peaceful way. John is the future. That's why we stand with him. Now, these individuals are just a small sample. They're just an example of the extraordinary drive and courage and commitment of people that oftentimes are outside of the headlines. People don't do stories on them. When they're endangered or harassed It usually doesn't surface in the news. But they are those who are pushing the boulder up the hill to make sure that the world is a little bit of a better place. And we live in a complicated world. We've got imperfect choices. The reality is sometimes, for instance, for the sake of our national security, the United States works with governments that do not fully respect the universal rights of their citizens. These are choices that I, as president, constantly have to make. And I will never apologize for doing everything in my power to protect the safety and security of the American people. That is my first and primary job. But that does not mean that human rights can be simply sacrificed for the sake of expediency. So although it is uncomfortable, although it sometimes causes friction, the United States will not stop speaking out for the human rights of all people and pushing governments to uphold those rights and freedoms. We will not stop doing that because that's part of who we are. And that's part of what we stand for. And when governments engage in tactics against citizens and civil society, hoping nobody will notice, it is our job to shine a spotlight on that abuse. And when individuals like the ones I introduced are being held down, it's our job to help lift them back up. When they try to wall you off from the world, we want to connect you with each other. When your governments may try to pass oppressive laws, we'll try to oppose them. When they try to cut off your funding, we're going to try to give you a lifeline. And when they try to silence you, we want to amplify your voice. And if amid all the restrictions and all the pressure and all the harassment and all the fear, if they try to tell you that the world does not care and that your friends have forsaken you, do not ever believe it, because you are not alone. You are never alone. Your fellow advocates stand with you and your communities stand with you. Your friends around the world stand with you. The United States of America stands with you, and its president stands with you. No matter how dark the hour, we remember the words of Dr. King. The time is always ripe to do the right thing. And Dr. King also said that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. The reason we support civil society is because we have seen in this country of ours that it does, in fact, bend towards justice, but it does not do so on its own. It does so because there are hands of ordinary people doing extraordinary things every single day, and they pull that arc in the direction of justice. That's why we have freedom in this country. That's why I'm able to stand before you here today. And that's why we will stand with them tomorrow. God bless you all. God bless all those who are working under tough conditions in every corner of the world. Thank you, CGI. Thank you, President Clinton. Thank you.